The state of California is currently experiencing a severe drought, and there is uncertainty as to when it will come to an end. However, the state is also grappling with extensive flooding, which seems paradoxical. This odd scenario will be examined in this video, as well as the multi-billion-dollar mega-dam that the state intends to utilize to address it. Before delving into the subject, it is important to understand the water situation in California. The state faces significant challenges when it comes to water resources, with vast portions of the region classified as deserts, including the Great Basin, the Mojave, and Colorado. Even several centuries ago, when the first American settlers arrived in the area, they found it challenging to farm due to the scarcity of water. Unfortunately, the situation has not improved much over the years. The governor of California declared a statewide drought emergency in October 2021, urging residents to decrease their water consumption by 15% in an attempt to address the issue. However, despite nearly 18 months passing since the declaration, the emergency remains in effect as of 2023. The state has been dealing with official drought conditions for over 1,000 days. However, there is another side to the story. Amid the ongoing drought, California experienced an intense bout of rainfall that resulted in significant flooding in some areas. This unexpected event caused widespread destruction to towns and cities, claiming the lives of 22 individuals, and led the governor to declare another state of emergency. At present, the state is simultaneously experiencing emergency droughts and floods, which is an extraordinary circumstance. One may wonder how California can face two conflicting states of emergency at once. The answer lies in water management. When there is heavy rainfall, an immense amount of water is deposited on the ground, resulting in flooding. However, only a small fraction of this water is effectively collected and stored. As soon as the sun appears, most of the water dissipates or is carried into the ocean, rendering the drought unaffected as if no rainfall ever occurred. Thus, California's dilemma is that they cannot accumulate enough water during the rainy season to compensate for the drought periods, resulting in a cyclical pattern of alternating surpluses and scarcities of water. The central issue now is whether there is a viable solution to this problem. California has made several attempts to address the issue in the past. In the 1950s, the state underwent a comparable sequence of droughts and floods. In response, the state initiated the State Water Project, or SWP, with the objective of devising a means of accumulating water during flood periods to reuse during droughts. The program's primary objective is to collect, store, and deliver water to locations throughout the state. To address the issue, California constructed over 20 dams in the initial years to accumulate water in massive reservoirs during periods of heavy rainfall. The most well-known of these is Lake Oroville, which is supported by the Oroville Dam, the most massive dam in the United States, towering over 200 meters. The reservoir holds hundreds of millions of cubic meters of water. Pyramid Lake, located just outside Los Angeles, is another well-known example. When a drought occurs, the water amassed in these extensive reservoirs can be distributed to farmlands and cities. It is an impressive process, relying on a vast infrastructure of canals, aqueducts, and pumping stations. Some of the water travels for hundreds of kilometers, traversing mountain ranges. The California Aqueduct, which transports water from the Sierra Nevada to Los Angeles, branching off to several millions of people along the way, is the most well-known component. The Edmonston pumping plant at one point must lift the water out of the Tehachapi Mountains, a height of 600 meters. It is akin to pumping a river over the One World Trade Center. No other pumping plant globally lifts water higher than Edmonston. Overall, it is one of the most advanced and ambitious water management systems globally. During the 1960s and 70s, California built Stage 1 of the State Water Project, which involved constructing dams and canals to store water during periods of heavy rainfall. However, plans to build more dams and canals in the 80s and 90s were halted due to economic difficulties and environmental concerns. These water facilities disrupted the natural flow of rivers and made it difficult for local species like salmon and steelhead trout to reach their breeding sites, causing their populations to collapse. As a result, California decided to delay further construction and rely on the first stage of the project to manage water shortages. During the initial years of the operation, the newly constructed water facilities proved to be effective. Approximately 2/3 of the water collected was allocated to urban populations, while the remainder was used for agricultural irrigation. This comprehensive system was estimated to contribute approximately $400 billion to California's economy annually. Recently, the current facilities of the State Water Project have been facing challenges. Back when they were initially built, California had a population of under 20 million people. But as the state's population has grown and now doubled, so has the demand for water, which is putting a strain on the dams and canals. This is a significant contributing factor to the recent droughts that California has been facing. The rising temperatures caused by climate change are exacerbating the problem. Over the past century, California's average temperature has increased by almost 2 degrees Celsius, leading to intense and prolonged heat waves. With worsening droughts, an expanding population, and outdated water management system, the state is facing a serious challenge. The state's solution? Construct a reservoir called the Sites Reservoir, which will be located a few kilometers north of Sacramento in a narrow valley. This valley is characterized by dry, scrubby terrain with open plains of yellowish grass and a few clusters of buildings and trees. Despite being marked as sites on the map, the settlement is not an official town. The state's plan is to flood the valley and transform it into a lake. According to the project website, the Sites Reservoir is an off-river reservoir that will capture excess water from major storms and save it for drier periods, and is considered to be environmentally friendly. This concept has been in the works since the 1950s, and it was initially considered as part of the first stage of California's water management project. However, the State Water Project eventually deemed the plans too costly, with an estimated cost of $4 billion. Thus, the state shifted its focus to other projects, such as the Oroville Dam, instead of pursuing the Sites Reservoir plan due to its high cost. However, in recent years, the state has realized the potential benefits of the project and is now willing to invest in it. While the Sites Reservoir may not completely solve California's drought problems, it will certainly make a significant difference. It has the capacity to store more than 2 cubic kilometers of water, which is enough to supply hundreds of thousands of homes with drinking water for a year. The construction of the Sites Reservoir will begin with the creation of several dams to seal the gaps between the hills at the edge of the valley. 2 primary dams, the Sites Dam and the Golden Gate Dam, will be erected on the valley's eastern side, while the others will be placed in the north. With these dams, the valley will be transformed into a large waterproof basin. Once completed, the next step will be to fill it with water. Typically, this is accomplished by blocking a river and allowing it to flood the valley. The Oroville Dam was built in the same way, by obstructing the Feather River and waiting for the waters to accumulate behind it. In periods of intense rain, the river will continue to flood the basin, refilling the reservoir for later use. However, as the Sites Valley lacks major rivers, the process of filling the reservoir will require a different approach. The Sacramento River, the largest river in California, lies about 25 kilometers to the east of the valley. In the rainy months, the state intends to extract water from the river, transfer it through fields, hills, and towns via pipelines, and deposit it into the Sites Valley, akin to filling a massive bucket with a colossal water faucet. When the dry season comes, the stored water can be released to offer assistance to nearby regions. Although pumping water from the Sacramento River to the valley requires a significant amount of energy, the SWP believes it is worth the cost, as some of it will be recouped. Hydroelectric generators will convert the water's flow into power when it's released from the reservoir, which will be around 80% of the energy used to pump it. Construction is slated to begin in 2024 or 2025, with completion expected in 2030 or 2031. Some individuals are disappointed that the project won't be completed sooner. However, some people argue that the Sites Reservoir project also has its drawbacks. Concerns have been raised over the potential increase in water prices, with some predicting a rise of up to 300%, which could be unaffordable for some. Environmental groups have also voiced concerns over the impact on fish migration along the Sacramento River, which will be used to fill the reservoir. Blocking a whole river can disrupt the environment and prevent fish from swimming upstream. These issues need to be addressed to ensure the project's success without compromising the environment and people's livelihoods. Despite concerns about the site's reservoir project, there are measures in place to mitigate potential negative impacts. As an off-stream reservoir, it won't block the Sacramento River and will only require the use of high-power pumps, which will include fish screens to prevent wildlife from getting trapped. The SWP has also pledged to use some of the collected water to support local fish species, which rely on deep, cooling pools for breeding. Although the primary goal is to supply water for humans, helping other species is also important. The project is still contingent on funding, but if construction begins in 2024 or 2025, it is estimated to be completed by 2030 or 2031. Despite potential increases in the cost of water, many believe the site's reservoir is necessary to mitigate the effects of California's droughts. Do you think it's a good addition to California? Share your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, click the like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to Luxury Realm for more videos like this one.